Man, this has been a strange journey we're taking tonight.
I hope you said record just now, because I did not hear you.
Oh.
It's the ghost of the Headless Horseman. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. What is going on tonight? I'm just testing my mic levels.
I think my computer is haunted or something.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We've been trying. At first, I was fighting with we were fighting some feedback issues. I'm pretty sure we figured out what that was, which it seems like Google decided to install some sort of intelligent trigger or whatever that decided to switch my microphone to some sort of isolated mode in the Google Meet app. So that was slightly frustrating. Well, it's the web-based Google Meet, but that was slightly frustrating. So it was causing feedback on my side when Josh was listening to me. And then evidently Josh is hearing ghosts through his computer right now or something like that. Some sort of strange rustling feedback.
Yeah, rustling. I heard other people's conversations.
Yeah, I don't know whether...
Either I'm having a rough day and I didn't get enough sleep last night, or like there's something really going on with these microphones.
I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't set up microphones in your basement anymore.
Yeah, no, it's the only place. Listen, this place is fine.
Yeah. It's totally fine.
Don't put that on me. Don't put that ghost in my house.
Yeah. Well, evidently they wanted to talk tonight, I guess.
They're into the podcast. They're into the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the PUDs Podcast. So what's going on? We're catching up after Memorial Day weekend.
Dude?
Yeah.
What's up?
Nothing much. Just like I said, just come back from Memorial Day weekend, easing back into the work week.
Yeah.
Nice 3-day work week on my side, so it's going by quick.
How's your transition back been?
It's been pretty easy. It's not like I was gone for like a week or something.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as a big transition as when I was on vacation for like a week out west. So.
Right, of course. It's
cool.
You said 3-day work week, dude. What day? What are you off tomorrow?
No, we came back on yesterday.
Oh, I should
say we drove back on Tuesday. Yeah, we took the Tuesday off afterwards. So just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week.
Oh, solid.
Yeah, we didn't feel like fighting the traffic coming home from up north.
Yeah.
Because last year was pretty awful last year, so yeah.
Yeah, that's super smart. Super smart for sure.
Yeah.
Talk about battling traffic, dude. I had to go into Bawston today for a big meeting. Let me tell you. It took me 3 hours to get to Bawston.
Dude, that's awful.
It's
man. What time was the conference and what time and what time did you leave?
The meeting was at 9 and I left at like 7. So I figured 2 hours would be sufficient enough to get me there on time.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think, since we probably live without traffic less than an hour away from Boston. Well, you're more like an hour plus.
Yeah, it was like 50. I did it the night before. I mapped it out the night before. It was like 54 minutes from my house to Boston. And so I left a couple hours early, dude. Like, let me tell you, it's the number one reason why I will never live in a big city like that. I want no part of that daily traffic, that daily grind to get in and out of those places. Like, it's just not for me, dude.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, I'm lucky. When I kind of was looking at getting a new job out of college, or I should say I had a job for like a year after I got out of college, and then I was looking to jump ship. But there's pretty good odds I would have ended up working in or around Boston. I ended up working kind of more for a company in Rhode Island. And now I work remotely, so it doesn't matter as much. But I totally agree with you. I could never see, I mean, usually in cities, obviously, you're going to make a little bit more money and stuff. It's a little bit more competitive, especially for the field that I do in work. But yeah, I feel like you just lose so much time to that traffic. And I know tons of people, millions of people do that, and especially in Boston, as far as taking the train in or whatever, just kind of dealing with the long commute. But I just feel like you end up losing a lot of time day to day.
Yeah.
And I do not, I have no patience in traffic whatsoever. I'm really impatient, so it just doesn't go well.
It's I can't stand just sitting in the car. And no, nothing's worse than being in traffic and like having to piss and know that your exit is 3 miles away, but you're going 3 miles an hour, so it's like you're never gonna get there.
Hopefully that didn't happen to you today.
Yeah, no, that definitely happened to me. So then I finally got there, and I'm like, already an hour late to this meeting. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom first. I can't even. I can't even head right in there.
I can't think. I'm in literal pain from this bladder.
I'm bursting at the seams. Bursting. I had to get in there. I had to get in there quick. If I had a big gulp cup, I would have peed in there in the car while I was driving. No big gulps though.
Man. Yeah. I should keep one for next time.
I guess so. I think the next one I'm just skipping. I'm just not going.
Yeah.
It's not that important. I don't need to be there. I'm not that important to the company, so it doesn't matter.
I drove in for one a while back, pre-COVID. One time instead of taking the train, and it was a big mistake.
Yeah,
it was the same deal. I did get home a little bit earlier because I left right when the conference ended, and I think it was like 3:45, 4 o'clock. So I kind of jetted on out of there. But I remember doing the same thing where I was in North Providence at the time, trying to get to Bawston, like kind of like the North Bawston area, and it sucked. Yeah, it took me like I think I left at like 5, and I still got there late, and it started at like 8.
See, I thought about taking the T, but I don't think I'm into like not being able to leave when I want to leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I wanted to take off early, if something happened, like I just want to be able to get in my car and go. Like I don't want to wait.
You'd be at the mercy of the trains, but the ironic part is like depending what time of day it is, it doesn't matter. Like you're just going to be stuck there.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know.
I know what you mean. I like having that control of like having your own vehicle to leave when you want to, rather than being like, I got to wait for the 4:15 p.m. train or the 4:37 or whatever.
It might be a me thing, dude. I might just be like too controlling.
might be an us thing, actually. Oh man,
it's so bad. It's so bad. And then to get served a mediocre sandwich, like, come on. I can get Jersey Mike's at home. Like, I'm in Boston. Give me some pizzazz.
So a quick story, but that reminds me of when I went to one of the big Salesforce conferences. I think it was in 2017 called Dreamforce. I went to it in San Francisco, and they were very much about like all like organic, like healthy food. So they really just didn't have good lunches like any of the day, in my opinion. Like some of it was okay, but like every time I thought I was going to get a good sandwich or something, it ended up being like tofu or like, and it wasn't like there's tofu that's not bad in certain things, but
you'd be
like, oh, this looks like a good sandwich with like dressing and like red onions and veggies and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like you think it's me, and you're like, nah, it's just tofu. And I'm like, oh, that's why it just
nothing
doesn't
like
taste
biting
good.
into a big piece of tofu,
or just like salads. Like at a conference, you need like a good sandwich or something to keep you fueled up through those sessions, and it just wasn't happening. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, feed me appropriately. I sat in traffic for more time than I spent in the actual meeting. Like, ridiculous.
That's rough. You seem pretty worked up.
I was listen, man. I'm still steaming over it. So maybe that's why I'm getting all this feedback in my mic. It's all my rage and stress.
Josh is sizzling. It's sizzling through the microphone.
Hot.
Sizzling through the microphone.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
All right. Want to get into the next music moment?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. We'll try to chill you out a little bit here. Talk about some music and
give
stuff.
Give me some good vibes, dude.
So I mean, so we're kind of back off the theme one. I mean, I was almost thinking and tempted to do "Back in the Saddle" by Aerosmith because we're going to be talking about hiking Saddleback in Maine, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be realistic. Like it's a good song. It's not a song I listen to on the regular, to be completely honest. Even though it would have fit the theme pretty well. So I actually am just going to throw out the Boygenius EP by Boygenius that came out in 2018. I've kind of been digging through their catalog a little bit after we featured their newest album, whose name is escaping me right now. Oh, it's called The Album. That's why. It's very ironic. And it's ironically not as memorable, but it's called The Album. But kind of just been pouring through their catalog. I kind of gave a lot of details in, I don't know, that 3 or 4 episodes back. You can look through the Next Music Moment if you want to find it, sort of on the band and where they came from. But long story short, 3 solo artists that combine. They all have really good voices, all really good musicians. And yeah, I've really been digging that EP. My 2 favorite songs off it. The whole thing's solid. It's like 6 tracks, but Bite the Hand and Stay Down are both like bangers. They're really good songs. They sort of have this slow burn sort of thing going on. Then they explode a little bit. A lot of passion, emotion kind of going on. So just been feeling that lately. And it's been on my rotation running, I think, for the past week and a half.
That's awesome.
Roundabout there to kick things off.
Awesome.
So yeah, Boygenius EP. Check it out.
Check it out.
I'm not going to forget you tonight. I think I forgot you like 4 episodes in a row.
Don't forget
What's it called again? The Josh's
Jazzy
Jalapeno?
Yeah, Josh's Jazzy Jalapeno.
Josh's Jazzy Music Moment. What you got tonight, buddy?
I got homework for you, buddy. That's what I got. I got homework
I got
for
my
you.
pen ready. I'll write it down.
Apple Music released their top 100 greatest albums of all time.
Oh man. Don't get me started.
You already saw it?
Oh yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Josh is going to be like, it's amazing. You need to go through it. I started cruising through it.
No, it's not good.
Okay.
Okay. And like I said, I'm not even really a music guy, and I know it's not good. So
I'll let you go for it. I got to throw in a little bit on this because this brought up a funny conversation.
No,
with some
I got
folks.
nothing. All I got to say is I disagree.
Yeah, completely. On so many levels.
Easy as that.
It was funny. I have a group text with some mutual, like work friends, mutual friends at work, whatever. And someone sent out that list. I think maybe a friend of the podcast, Mike, sent it out, or Dave, my buddy Dave. One of them, anyways, in that group text sent out that list when it came out, and we all just started like ripping it apart.
Yeah.
For like, I don't know. It was. They missed. So I mean, first of all, trying to limit to like 100 best albums of all time, like, is pretty difficult. But yeah, I disagreed with it on so many levels. It had albums I liked on it.
100 greatest albums, and some people have 2 albums on there, and there's some people that probably deserve to be on there that aren't. Your list is probably junk.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'll fully admit that as because there were 2 Radiohead albums on it. And I was like, first of all, I would have just picked OK Computer. That was on it. I wouldn't have put Kid A on that if you're talking for more of a popularity and like what it did and how many copies it sold. And again, I'm saying that as I am, like Josh knows, I'm a massive Radiohead fan. I love Radiohead. And even that, I was like, just pick one album by them. Like, there's not enough to go around.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was interesting. There was like, we just kept mentioning different artists that weren't on it. It seemed very biased and very, I don't even know the right word for it. It's like they were trying to be very inclusive and an odd ranking. Like, it didn't even make sense. Like, there's a lot of artists who I don't personally like where I would be like, oh, I would consider them higher on that list than they are. Yeah. Which makes me think I'm like, it wasn't my own bias making me feel that way. I'll
say, because I'm all about inclusion. I love all that. Like, I love inclusion or whatever when it's due. But spoiler alert for the list, if you don't want to know what the number 1 song is, like, you can skip forward album. Like 30 or 40 seconds. But
this,
like, so the number 1 album was Lauryn Hill. All right. I think it's the only album she's ever put out. But
I think so.
And I am a huge Lauryn Hill fan. Like, I love Lauryn Hill. But to say that is the greatest album of all time is absolutely insane.
I believe they mentioned it was something like a seismic drop or shift or something in music, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. Again, you're a giant Lauryn Hill fan, and I mean, I'll mention too, like, I knew several of the songs off that album. It's like I had never heard, like, I know who Lauryn Hill is. Yeah. I don't live under a rock.
Listen,
I have some of her songs, but like, that one like threw me off. I'm like, we were joking. They're like, did they have like some CEO be like, you guys can pick the rest of the list, but I'm a massive Lauryn Hill fan, so we're gonna make this album number 1 because that's the only way it makes sense. Like, I don't think there's any valid argument.
Yeah, like I said,
it just didn't make sense.
I am a big time Lauryn Hill fan. I owned that cassette. Like, I'm all over it. I get it. She's very good. Is the best album of all time? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's fair.
So
yeah, man, it was
I'm glad,
controversial.
yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
I'm
one.
glad you already did your homework and you already looked at the list. I should have known.
Oh yeah,
I should have known better.
Yeah, I looked through it. Yeah, dude, we were like going off on a group text message chain on that, on like just artists being their rankings, artists that were completely missing that probably should have been included.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, it was just tough. Artists who like, even artists like I was saying that I don't necessarily like, but have a lot of respect for them musically, and it just didn't, it was out of whack, like on every front. It seemed like it didn't make any sense, frankly.
Yeah. Maybe we can do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, we need to get some other people on it that maybe someone that has a differing opinion. I haven't met anybody that actually liked the ranking yet.
Well,
and
I don't think anybody can. Yeah. And I get it.
Because it alienates almost everybody, which maybe that's a good thing. But again, like I think there's albums people would agree on being higher up and albums being included. And there were a bunch in there that were like just completely like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And I know it's hard. Like you're trying to encapsulate every genre of music, and maybe some music's not your taste, maybe some is. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure we can all disagree on what the number one album is, but I think we can all agree that it's not that.
Yeah, I agree. That was well said. Well said. Good, sir.
All right, man.
And if you're that big of a Lauryn Hill fan, then you need to listen to some more music that is similar to Lauryn Hill as well, because there was quite a bit of it going around in the 90s.
Right.
All right, you want to get into the main topic?
Yeah, let's do it, buddy.
All right, man. So what did you do this Memorial Day weekend?
So first off, we celebrated Melissa's birthday. So happy birthday to her, obviously.
Yeah. Happy birthday, double mom of the podcast.
Double mom. Yeah, mom times two. So we got a chance to celebrate her birthday, which was actually really nice for her because she basically got a whole weekend out of it where we got to do a bunch of different things and a lot of stuff that she did. So we celebrated her birthday, and also a friend of the podcast, Adam, was his birthday on that following day, on the Saturday. So that was really, really nice. Had an opportunity to spend time with him and Katie and Thea and just do some ridiculous. Katie had us do a couples paint. So basically, yeah. No, it's not. It's not. Ooh, I'll tell you. If you could see my picture, it's not. Ooh.
Is it ew?
It's ew. It's definitely ew. But we had to basically paint a picture of our spouse. So it was like a spouse paint. So, and I am not artistically inclined in that way, I guess. So it was not good. It was not good.
So how do they get you started? Because usually those are sort of a template or something, right? Like that's why I think it's funny painting your spouse. This one was just like freeform.
There was no template. I'll tell you, dude.
Like I feel like I haven't done one personally, but Ash has done a few where it's like the paint wine night kind of deal, and you all kind of paint the same picture. But I think they have someone guiding you, so it actually gives you an idea of how to create the painting. Yeah, so this was just like free form.
Oh yeah, this was take all the knowledge and skills that you have about paint and put it on that canvas right now of your spouse who you love.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it was not great. And I don't know. All I can say is poor Melissa is a saint for putting up with my nonsense. And no, but it's a good idea by Katie, and it was nice to be able to spend that time with them and hang out and do those things. And so like I said, not didn't come out great, but it was, like I said, it was a good time to hang out and do that stuff. And besides that, man, I got a lot of stuff done around the house, like so much stuff.
You're showing me some pictures of your yard and stuff.
Yeah. It's looking even better now.
Excellent.
I don't even know what the word is for this, but I took the plants that I had in my front and I I guess would be transplanted. I transplanted them to my back.
Yes, transplanting would be the correct word.
Yeah, yep. So I put my abrevieties out on my retaining wall and did some planting with some Japanese sky pencil in the front and some
Japanese sky pencil.
It's a nice holly.
Exotic.
It's a holly bush that just basically grows straight up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So really got to do a lot of that stuff and clean up my garage and stuff like that and spend time with the family and the baby and all that. So it was really good. It was really good to really be able to sit back and really enjoy some time and kind of just chill. And the baby was sick like since last Wednesday. For about a week, she's had like this bad cough and stuff like that, and then I caught it from her. So it was kind of good to just relax and be sick for a little bit too.
Yeah, was she like all right? Because usually they can just take children's Tylenol at this time, right?
No, she's still not old enough yet.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
really? I didn't even know they could be too young to take that.
Yeah, but she's fine. She didn't have a fever or
That's good.
anything.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So she's just
You know
fighting
what
it, but no fever.
Yeah. You want to know what I thought of though? That really like, I don't know. I thought of it. It like crossed my mind like a few times. Like
Fever dreams?
no. It wasn't fever dreams. It was like as I'm outside I'm buying plants and outside planting all these flowers and stuff like this. I just had this thought in my head, like what a flex it is to like just buy like 3 weeks worth of groceries worth of plants, like, and just put them in your front yard, and you know that they're gonna be dead by the time winter comes, but it was worth it.
Well, it depends on what plant you buy, right? Like there's perennials that do come back. But I mean, you can absolutely spend like hundreds of dollars on annuals.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense how expensive some stuff is.
Yeah.
Like I bought a Japanese maple this year for our backyard. And finally, I found one at a relatively reasonable price. It was a good size, like not a sapling. It's probably like 3 or 4 feet tall, and it was only like $100, which still, like you said, kind of a flex sort of deal. Like it's expensive for it's a tree, but you see them for way more than that. And I have another one that I got for free from my aunt because she had some saplings in her yard. So that was cool. I'm actually replacing one of the ones that the deer ate, and hopefully it's too big and it's beyond that point. But it is kind of insane how much flowers cost sometimes.
Yeah. It just kept going through my head. Like, people are out here starving, and here I am just planting my sativa plant. Like, nice. My nice purple sativas. Like,
wait a sec. Oh, salvia.
Yeah, salvia. There you go. Salvia.
I was like, wait, one is a strain of marijuana.
Okay.
The other is a flower.
The other one's a beautiful purple flower that I put in my front yard.
Yeah, I think that's salvia.
I'm going to leave it up to the listener to figure out which one's which.
I mean, maybe there is sativa as a plant, but I think generally when people hear sativa, that's where my brain went.
No, it's definitely salvia.
Yeah, we have a salvia in our yard too. We get a lot of bumblebees on and stuff, but yeah, that's cool, man. It's a lot of work to do that too. Like a lot of times I'll be like, oh, this will take me like an hour or two to plant and mulch and stuff, and it takes a long time doing that stuff yourself for sure.
Yeah,
but it's very rewarding. I find it very rewarding. I've gone into gardening a bit in my past on this PUDs podcast. The past podcast, but yeah, man.
But yeah, it looks great. My lawn looks great. We got cracked out the fire pit. We had a nice. We actually played hypotheticals by the fire with Melissa's parents and sister and Nate.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, so that was really fun. That was a good time. But yeah, so it was good. It was very chill, very chill. How was the trip, man? It
was good, man. So I know normally you guys have joined us many of the years. Memorial Day weekend, we go up in this year, it just didn't work out. But we ended up venturing out to Maine for a change. Couple of us, me and Ash, friend of the podcast, Mike and stuff, we're all looking to sort of continue bagging peaks beyond the 48. So wanted to head up to Maine and kind of check out some of those peaks. So we actually stayed around Sunday River in Newry, Maine. Got a house with Lori, Mike, Wilkie, Nate, my in-laws Tony and Lisa, and then me, Ash, and Rylan went. So yeah, it was just a house basically right outside the resort. It was really nice. It kind of caught our eye because it had a pool and hot tub, so it definitely had a lot of different stuff to do in the house.
I know the weather down here was really awesome that weekend. Was it warm enough up there to swim?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, awesome.
The pool was a little chilly. We suspected that because they say that they just open it literally or for Memorial Day weekends, like the first time you can use it, that it was probably a little chilly. But but on those first few days we were there, it was pretty nice. We all ended up going in.
Nice.
Kind of cool off and stuff.
Nice.
A little chilly on the latter part of Sunday into Monday. Monday just kind of rained, so nobody was going to the pool. But yeah, so it was definitely warm enough to kind of hop around the pool. Our friends Mike and Lori got riling. Like, it looked like those little the red and yellow cars. I'm trying to think of, like, what do you call those the little coupes that you see, like the Fisher Price ones. I think they're Fisher Price.
Oh yeah,
like the plastic red cars with like the yellow top. But they got basically a blow up of that for her, so she was playing around in that and kind of
so cool,
going back and forth in the pool. And she didn't seem to like going in all the way, or like sort of, we were trying to get her to practice not jumping in because she can't jump yet, but just sort of shuffling in and kind of getting used to it. But she liked playing on the steps, so that was kind of cool.
That's good.
She made it to the second step. That was her accomplishment, and like splashing around. So
nice. So
she definitely got good use out of it, and the house itself was super cool. Price wasn't too bad, split that many people, and it could have fit quite a few more people as well.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So that was fun. It was probably about, we headed up on Friday, took the day off. It was probably about 4 hours away. We stopped at a brewery about 3 hours on the way up. That was pretty tasty, and made our way there. And kind of we're just chilling on Friday and getting ready. And we were watching the weather, which, like we said, turned out to be really great, because I was looking out like 2 weeks ago, being the weather aficionado that I am, especially when planning hikes. And it looked like straight up awful like 2 weeks before. It looked like it was going to rain like every day. So that would have been really tough. Right. Would have made it a little bit less enjoyable up there. Nobody would have been hitting the pool, that's for sure, with the way it looked. But but when it came down to it, the weather ended up looking awesome that weekend. We figured since it looked nice Saturday, we'd hit our planned hike. And this also, if you've been following along, this was the hike that we were doing for the Alzheimer's Longest Day 48 Peaks Challenge. Right. We did the Create Your Own Challenge. And we were going to bag Saddleback and the Horn, aka the Saddleback Horn, up around the Rangeley Lakes in Maine. Kind of in that Rangeley Lakes region. I think the town's actually called Rangeley that it's in. But yeah, we kind of decided to do that one. What caught my eye about that one is it just is supposed to have super nice views. It has the biggest area of alpine zone outside Baxter State Park in Maine. So Maine's kind of, if you look at the 4,000 footers, it's got 14 of them. 3 of those are in Baxter State Park. Ash and I had pretty much the 11 left outside of Baxter State Park that we haven't done for our New England 67 4,000 footers. Nice. Or it's also part of the Northeast 111 that I'm working on, along with the Adirondacks. So on both those kind of beak bagging lists, if you're kind of looking at the list type of stuff. And also, it looked like it was going to be a pretty decent hike in terms of like elevation gain and mileage. From what I gathered in doing some research, All Trails, first off, was wrong, which isn't surprising. But doing both the Saddleback and the Horn from the ski area, the Saddleback ski area, it's like a big ski resort, is about 7 miles round trip and about 3,000 feet of vertical gain. So figured to be a pretty good one. It's not like good solid hike, not like a killer hike necessarily. I think it ended up being more difficult than I anticipated. A little bit, just coming back down from Saddleback and back up to the Horn and then back out was a bit scrambly and kind of just wet and muddy in spots, just made it a little bit challenging. And it wasn't necessarily close to where we stayed. I kind of realized that later on. We were actually pretty close to Old Spec, which is like the westernmost Maine 4,000 footer. And all this sort of runs along the AT. And it actually sort of, like Old Spec's sort of on the edge of the Mahoosic Range, right kind of on the western side of Grafton Notch. And Saddleback and the Horn are sort of the easternmost, or I should say the closest 4,000 footers in Maine that you hit as you head east. And those are probably it was like an hour and a half drive. I thought we make a little bit better time, but when you're on some of those Maine back roads, it's hard to make good time. Yeah. And especially if you're getting stuck behind like some big trucks or like logging trucks or any sort of truck really. So it took us the full hour and a half to get there. We made a little bit better time on the way back. But yeah, man, Saddleback and the Saddleback Horn blew away our expectations, like flat out.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've shared a few like videos and pictures. I just haven't gone through everything yet, and I'll definitely be throwing them up on Instagram. We expected the 360-degree views. I expected to be pretty open because of sort of the big alpine zone stat, but it was super cool. Just different geography than New Hampshire. These peaks are only like a little over 4,000 feet. They're not like 5,000 or 6,000 or anything like that.
Yeah.
But because of how the terrain is in that Rangeley Lakes area, it's sort of really prominent and stands up. And like you're looking around, you got these sort of rolling hills. You could see other Maine 4,000 footers. You could see a bunch of lakes and stuff. And it was really beautiful just from the ski area where we started in itself. Like,
Yeah.
So we got there, I don't know, it was like probably like 9 o'clock-ish. I think it ended up taking us around like 8 or 9 hours, like round trip with breaks and everything else.
Let me ask you something real quick, Nick.
Yeah, sure.
Now that, so since you're just coming off of obviously the biggest mountain you've ever hiked, what was that experience like, just going back and doing something like that, a little 5,000? Well, I'll call it a little 5,000 footer compared to what you just did, but
it was cool. It didn't really feel any different. Like we're just back in the Northeast hiking. Yeah. But it was different. Me and Ash were saying it was nice not to deal with mushy snow, but that's kind of a Northeast and out there thing. But
right.
Yeah, man, it wasn't. We were definitely talking about it. The altitude definitely was something that I would say we noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. Me and Ash were kind of talking because we really hadn't seen Mike and Lori much since we'd been on our trip and hadn't really chatted with Wilkie too much about it in person. So
yeah,
it was kind of cool. Obviously, few of them had listened to the podcast, so they actually kind of heard about it.
Yeah,
which is kind of I realize that when I talk to people that I hang out with that do listen to the podcast occasionally, is like I'm kind of repeating information. They're like, yeah, I know, I listen to you on the podcast, which is good. But it's
yeah, good.
I catch myself doing that sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard that on the podcast.
We don't take it for granted that just because you're our friends that you listen. Just so you know.
Yes, for sure.
The other thing is too, like, I can't imagine, like, once you get to the top, did you go like, oh, that's it? Like, that's all?
No. It's kind of funny, though. It did make me reflect on how harsh the weather is in the Northeast, though, that we have.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you think, like, I don't think we were technically even in Alpine Zone on San Jacinto. And we were out there at like 4,040. I think Saddleback is like 4,100 feet, and like the Horn's a little bit lower than that. So yeah, it's funny because it's like it's straight up Alpine Zone up there, but that's purely because of how harsh the weather is and just how far north it is, and that probably just depends on the types of plants and stuff too that grow up there. But yeah, I was definitely reflecting on that a little bit, though, to think it's kind of odd that you could be at 11,000 feet out west, kind of in the desert like that, and you're not hitting Alpine Zone, and we're only at like 4,000 feet in the Northeast, and we're hitting Alpine
crazy,
Zone.
huh?
So that was definitely something we were talking about. And also good to see, like, we did not really do any scrambling on San Jacinto. I think if we had done San Jacinto in the summer or something, and it was funny when I was running through the notes for last episode, I came across some pictures of the top of it, and it's definitely bouldery and scrambly, but we were going through some classic New England style scrambles for sure.
Yeah.
There was one section we went up, heading up to the Horn after coming down Saddleback, and there was actually a metal ladder basically leaning against a rock that was kind of flexy and stuff to get you up sort of this little vertical rock scramble. So that was kind of cool.
But yeah, it was super nice.
In short, it was good to be home. It was good to be home again.
Good.
And see some new peaks. And like I said, I mean, I didn't mention yet, but I really haven't spent much time in Maine. I've been up to Baxter State Park for hiking. I've been up to Sunday River skiing when I first met Ash probably 11 years ago at this point. So I really don't know that area that well, which I'm realizing I kind of forget how big Maine is. When you start driving through Maine, you think like it's not that big, and then you start driving through for like 3 or 4 hours, and you're like, man, I'm only like a third of the way up this thing. So
it's huge.
Like even when we were driving towards Saddleback and the Horn, I was like, yeah, look, it says like an hour and 25 minutes, but I'm like, I'm sure we'll make better time on that, and it pretty much took us an hour and 25 minutes to get there.
Nice.
Like I said, a little bit better time on the way back. Just didn't hit as many trucks and people going up to the lakes, I think.
Yeah, not bad.
But yeah, man, it was sick being back. It was great getting out hiking with Mike and Lori and Wilkie and Tony and Ash. We all went together. Lisa and Nate kind of stayed behind at the house, and Lisa was watching Ryland, so that was cool. And it was just good to get out hiking together. It'd been a little bit since I've gotten out with that whole crew, so that was a lot of fun. So I went into some of the stats earlier. It's about 7 miles and 3,000 feet of gain. That's the gain that we got on our watches, and sort of what I took away from the Maine 4,000 footer guide that you can find paperbacks of. all trails had about 6.2 miles and like 2,500 feet or something like that, 2,700 feet. So just note that there's differences if you do happen to be looking this up in all trails.
Right.
I always trust the guides more than all trails. So if you end up with like 4,400 feet more, then that told you that's why. I would completely expect it. And
the hate for all trails is real.
All fails. And I use all trails. Like I said, I try not to be a total hypocrite. I'd use it to download maps offline and be able to use those, but I don't trust it 100% for planning. So a ton of people pick the ski area at the bottom of Saddleback to start up because it's kind of the shortest route mileage wise to the peak of Saddleback. Very popular with peak baggers like us. To get to the summit of Saddleback, it's only 2 miles. But in that 2 miles, you're doing around 2,200 to 2,400 feet of elevation gain from what I could see looking at the topography of it. So it's steep to say the least, and it makes sense because it's ski trails. So
right.
You're going up ski trails. It's a good incline, especially right off the bat. The benefit of it was that we didn't really have to worry about rocks and roots and sort of that crap. We were going up through basically fields and sort of wet grass, and there was mud here and there that made things a little bit slippery, but for the most part it wasn't super challenging to get to the summit of Saddleback. We sort of took our time. We were looking back at it had that effect of like the views kind of kept expanding a little bit more as we were going up a little bit higher and higher.
Yeah, so
that was super cool.
Nice.
And just straight up lakes and like forest, and it was super green. It almost looked fake, probably because of all the rain we've had this spring. And we made our way up to the summit of Saddleback. It was also very breezy, which I was really thankful for because several of my fellow hikers that I was chatting with going into the week were telling me they were up the previous weekend, and they said the black flies were absolutely unreal in northern New Hampshire and stuff. So yeah, we were prepared with our hardcore bug spray and stuff, but we did not get any black fly bites, I think, until maybe a few of us. I got one on my ankle on the way down, but apparently they were like atrocious the previous week. So really, really glad that there was enough breeze to keep them away, and the temperatures were like as perfect as it can be, in my opinion, for hiking. It was like probably 50s, 60s in the morning, and just along the ridgeline, just 50s, 60s, like almost chilly if you were stopping, but if you were moving in the sun, it was just perfect. Yeah, it almost reminded me of that day that we did Franconia Ridge way back, kind of where we just had that perfect dry, like breezy day.
Just warm enough that you have to keep like maybe a long sleeve on for a little bit.
Exactly.
And then once you get really going and start working, you can maybe pop it off. But then once you stop, it gets a little too cold.
And that's an awesome unplanned segue to friend of the podcast, Lori, is actually starting, or I should say at this point, started a clothing company called Adventuristic, which I've been sharing some of their stuff at. So if you've been seeing that on our Instagram stuff, that's where that comes from. She's a great friend, and just trying to help sort of plug her brand. We were donned in some t-shirts that she actually made for us before we got there. So that was pretty sick.
I saw those t-shirts. I was wondering where they came from. And now that I know, I'm so jealous, dude. I'm so jealous. Those were some awesome shirts. I love those. I love those shirts.
Gotta go nab one. Yeah, she was super cool. Our agreement was that we'd be used as quote unquote models for the shirts.
Yeah.
And frankly, we were testing out, obviously, cotton t-shirts. You kind of know where you're getting with those, but she actually had some new like moisture wicking shirts that we all tried that day. So all the shirts that you saw us wearing in the pictures, or the pictures I will share, I'm saying Josh directly, I'll post some on the Instagram, and I think I shared some out, but all those t-shirts the shirts that we were wearing were all nice moisture wicking material. Super cool. I like a lot of the designs that she's put on them and stuff. And yeah, functional as well. And the cotton shirts were super comfortable to hang out in. We were all pretty much hanging out in them all weekend.
Dude. That's so cool. Does she make them for big boys?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All sizes. All sizes.
Good.
So you can
because I'm a big boy and I need a shirt. I need at least one shirt.
Yeah, they're sick. So yeah, check out Adventuristic. This is the mini plug in the middle of it, but that was a good segue because you were talking about clothing. But yeah, we were very comfortable in our Adventuristic gear that we all were wearing, or I should say at least shirts.
That's so cool.
So that was cool. They worked well. But yeah, just perfect temps, everything. Great weather. Could have used some more sunscreen myself because I did end up with a little bit of a burn, but didn't end up peeling afterwards, so that was good.
That's all right.
But to pick it up, yeah, we hit the summit of Saddleback. We hung out there, and we were all like again sort of blown away. And the profiles of sort of looking at the horn and then in reverse when looking from the horn back at Saddleback, we actually really kind of thought it looked like Bond Cliff. If you've been out and you've done the Bonds in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
if you're on Bond looking at Bond Cliff or Bond Cliff looking back at Bond, it had a similar profile. Obviously, it's not an epic cliff like Bond Cliff is, but these were like some seriously nice looking mountaintops that we had. Like it was super sick.
Was it you or was it Mike that shared on Instagram the side by sides of Bond Cliff?
Mike did.
Yeah,
Mike did.
Yeah.
I'll have to share that. I need to get that picture. I need to get that picture from him. But that was actually the profile of Saddleback, from the Horn versus the profile of Bond Cliff from Mount Bond, and it looked incredibly similar.
On point.
Like you, I would say it'd probably be tough for a lot of people to tell those apart at a glance. Yeah. Unless you were very familiar with that. It's just the way they sloped in the angle and stuff. Like we were saying, like I don't know if it's just the deal with the glaciers or whatever, but the way that both those mountains are sloped towards the summit cone is very, very similar. Like it was damn near exact or as approximate as you probably could get with a glacier.
I thought that was really cool.
Shaping those things.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. That side by side, because just to know that you guys, and like just to know that you guys were like in your heads, like, oh, this is very similar to something else that I've done, without like looking at it at that moment, and then pulling up the picture and it being almost identical is insane. That's an insane level of like, I don't even know, dude. Just understanding of what you're doing out there, I guess.
I was gonna say, not to toot our own horn, but I was pretty impressed with both of us saying that, because when Mike pulled up that picture later, I was like, damn, like that's pretty exact.
That's wild.
Yeah, I haven't compared it. We were saying it, so the summit itself reminded us a lot of, if you've done Mount Moosilauke, it was kind of open, flat field. I should say both the Saddleback and the Horn had very similar summits like that. Like not so much the craggy like Mount Liberty or Madison or Adams or Flume or something, just very like almost sort of more open, flat alpine zone. Some really pretty alpine flowers sort of breaking out and stuff. Just super cool. Just trying to think of what things I could compare it to if you've been hiking in New Hampshire, because I know a lot of you that listen to the podcast are New Hampshire hikers. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of Moosilauke. The profiles of stuff reminded me of like Eisenhower, but the Bond Cliff one versus how Saddleback looked from the Horn was pretty crazy. So once you get to Saddleback, you've got 1.6 miles. So the guide says 1.6 miles. The sign there says 1.7 miles. So it's around that. But that you've got that distance to get to the Horn, and it's going to add an additional 600 feet of elevation gain when you're going back down Saddleback, back up to the Horn. And so that includes like the whole out and back. So you're probably dropping like a couple hundred feet, climbing up 100 feet or so, and then dropping 100 feet or so and climbing back up a couple hundred feet.
Nice.
Pretty good descent and a pretty good climb on the way back for both. So that's kind of where you're getting that additional gain and how far they are apart. Now, the whole walk over there was part of this unexpected section. There were a few sections that went through forest and woods, but for the most part, you were out in like open alpine zone, like just ridgeline, which I totally did not expect. Just rock sort of open field ridgeline, which was really sick. That was it. Frankly, I'm still thinking about it. Kind of just blew me away, and that's kind of cool. Like we did some research with it, obviously, to know what we were getting ourselves into, but there's just not as much information on the 4,000 footers in Maine, and I found that to be the case with Vermont and stuff, because they don't quite have the popularity, I take it, that the 4,000 footers. So that was cool to be really surprised by that. Agreed that we do lunch on the Horn. The Horn, I think, had arguably better views than Saddleback, just because you have Saddleback behind you, which is probably the most impressive thing to look at. And looking to your east and like northeast, you've got the whole multitude of the main 4,000 footers that are outside Baxter State Park. So you've got like Abraham, the Bigelows, Sugarloaf, the Crockers. We could see Old Speck to the west. We weren't exactly positive about that. I actually read in the guide that you can see Mount Washington and stuff, but I don't know if it was just a little too hazy that we couldn't make it out. Yeah, it was very impressive, and it was also interesting. It's always weird to look out and not know exactly what we're looking at. It was almost like when I was back in California, because I kind of got to research. I'm like, I don't know what any of these peaks are or mountains or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was cool. We were all kind of looking more after we got back to the house, but great views of that whole area across Maine and their 4,000 footers. And we made our way back out. Good steep climb back up to Saddleback, and descending back down the ski trails was super cool because we had views literally back to the car.
That's
just
awesome.
the nice thing about wide open ski trails. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
just views for like 95% of the hike, pretty
That's
much.
so cool.
You're just looking out at lakes or mountains or whatever. So that was super neat. And yeah, I was stoked. That puts me at 76 out of the Northeast 111 or the Northeast 115, and that
You're
puts
close,
Ash
kid.
and I. Yeah, it's plugging away. Most of that's in New York still.
Gotta chase that high.
Yeah, got to chase that high, man. And it puts Ash and I at 58 out of the New England 67 4,000 footers. So
Wow.
very
Even
cool.
closer.
Leaves us. We've got 9 left in Maine, so we've got that whole central area that we could look at, which I thought was kind of fitting for what we have left because it's literally like I'm like this is the I was saying Ash, I'm like this is the cluster of peaks that we literally have left
Wow.
to do the Maine 4,000
Wow.
footers, and all of them are quite a long drive from our house. I think they're all 5-ish hours. Saddleback without traffic from southeastern Mass is like almost 5.5 hours.
Wow.
So it's a good ride up there.
Wow.
But beautiful country. The Rangeley Lakes in itself were amazing. And I did need to mention too on the way back on the drive, there's an awesome viewpoint where the AT crosses this route, sort of not highway, it's just like an old school route. But beautiful view out to the lakes. Like when we were driving there, we all were like, we got to the parking lot, we're like, we need to stop there and take a picture on the way back because it was just amazing. Like you just pull over in your car and just see it. It was absolutely gorgeous in that Rangeley Lakes region of Maine. That was a super cool day. We had a lot of fun. We ended up sort of just chilling out on Sunday. Everybody was pretty tired.
I
didn't feel
bet.
like doing much other than
bet.
Wilkie. Wilkie went out and crushed. Like he rode down into downtown Newry, or I should say Bethel, which is it's like the town just outside of Newry, sort of the downtown of that area, if you will. And he rode down to Bethel, and then he rode back up just about 1,000 feet of vertical gain back up to the house on his bike the day after. And I think it was 15 miles round trip. So he double crushed it because he went out after we had breakfast and was like, I'm going to go out and do some biking. And then he got back and he's like, who let me think that was a good idea?
That's my
So,
boy. That's my boy, Wilkie.
Crushed it to go out there and do that again on his bike, man. So he
Yeah.
got like a twofer as far as like some crazy gain in those 2 days.
I bet.
So Monday was kind of a washout, but I still wanted to get out with Ash and Ryland to get a hike in. We brought up Ryland's little pack, and it's funny, as soon as I took the backpack out that morning and we were getting Ryland dressed, Ryland like wanted to go in it. She was like freaking out. She like wanted to go hiking. So that was super cool that she apparently starting to more remember a little bit now. Like she's cool when she gets in it, but this is the first time where I've broken out and she was super excited to get out. So I didn't want to pick anything too crazy, and the weather was like kind of mist. I don't know what it was doing here, but it was just like misting like all day there. Like it didn't really like pour raining, but it just was sort of misting like a fine Scottish mist
Yeah.
all day
A
sort
fog.
of. I think it had poured overnight. But one thing that's good to check out when it's rained the night before and it's kind of rainy and not aggressively rainy is waterfalls. So I was doing some research and found a couple waterfalls to check out. We were going to do one that was more of a hike, and that one was Dunn Falls. And then we are going to check out 2 others that were literally right off the road in Grafton Notch. So we made our way out to Dunn Falls. So this is sort of 10 miles east of Grafton Notch, approximately 10 miles east on the AT. And it's about a 1 mile one-way hike to Dunn Falls. And I found out afterwards when I was trying to look up a little bit more information and just looking at stuff later to try to figure out where we were. But there's actually an upper section and a lower section. We tried to head to go to where the lower section was on the trail that's adjacent to the AT. I think it's called the Cascade Trail. But it was super... it was a little bit hard to follow. It looked like people hadn't been down in a while. Within about 0.2 miles, we hit like 3 or 4 different blowdown areas, and I had Ryland on my back, so I'm like, this isn't gonna work.
Right.
Which now it's tough to do with a kid on your back. I didn't want her to get poked in the eye and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was just getting caught up in stuff. So I turned to Ash and I'm like, let's just like head and go the AT way. So we hit the AT. That was a little bit more manageable. Had a couple river crossings, and it was just kind of wet, but not too bad. Just kind of took it slow. And we finally got to the spur junction where you sort of cross. We were right above the lower section of the falls, which I saw a ton of pictures of, which was fine. We ended up missing it, which was a little bit of a bummer, but Also, I'm like, I don't know if I would have wanted to go down there and what the trail looked like necessarily. I have no idea what the rest of that trail was looking like. It looked like, it exists, I'm aware of this, but it looked like nobody had been down there in a bit.
Yeah.
And we were in kind of the middle of nowhere a little bit in Maine, for sure. Like, we were driving down some dirt roads and back on pavement and stuff. So, yeah, it was little interesting, so I didn't want to push it too much. But anyways, we sort of headed right and checked out the upper sections of Dunn Falls. So kind of going with theme, we hit like a nice pool that was like super cool, and we're just like snapping some pictures and stuff. Rylan was super excited. She kept looking at the waterfalls, and we were leading. It's funny, she was looking for Ash when Ash was like disappearing, and like we were in front. So it was super cute. Then we got to a section right near the upper fall section that was completely washed out. Like there was a tree with a blaze on it that was lying sideways into sort of this embankment. So we're pecking around a little bit. I ended up finding sort of a little way through the woods on the side and where the trail picked back up. So we got there, got to another waterfall that was pretty cool and bigger than the first ones we had kind of seen along this area. And I could make out, it was kind of frustrating. The trail was washed out and kind of just, you couldn't see where it went. And you could see the upper falls like directly behind it that were like 70 or 80 feet high. So I was like, what are we going to do here? I looked at the trail to the right. It was washed out and rocky. I could see where it picked up back in the woods. I dropped around at this point, and she kind of needed a little snack time anyway, so we dropped her off there. Double sprayed the DEET on the backpack, or at least the bug spray on the backpack. We had her sitting down and had a snack, and I'm kind of poking around trying to get to the upper falls. And found my way up there, and I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to take Rylan on my backpack up here.
Yeah,
it was just
smart.
Too much. I'm like, this is just a stupid decision.
Yeah,
so
smart.
I snuck up there really quick and got a couple pictures of this really stunning like 70, 80 foot waterfall, and she was flowing. It was flowing good. Flowing good with that recent rain.
Nice.
That was pretty
Got
cool.
some good flow.
And I'm not going to touch that one.
Yeah.
But yes, it was flowing nicely.
That was a bait. I was baiting you.
I know. I dodged your trap. It was pretty sweet. It's always satisfying too when you're going on a hike through woods like that and finding a waterfall as opposed to just pulling off a road and kind of just looking at it.
Yeah, of course.
It was neat to get out in the woods and really pretty forest up there. And I got a couple pictures of that. I asked if Ash wanted to go check it out. She could kind of see it through the woods and was looking at sort of the other waterfall near us, but she was cool and didn't want to sort of scramble up there. I also walked through a massive spider web at some point through the trail and was like not freaking out, but I was like, I probably have a spider on me. Like it was a big old spider web and could feel it across my face and everything. So that was fun. I just kind of washed it off with some water. I'm like, hopefully we're good.
You were like, time to get out of here. I got a big spider web on me.
And by that point with the mosquitoes and other stuff going on, I was like, let's head out. We sort of hit that point. I didn't realize that the lower falls existed. Probably would have went across the river and checked those out if I'd known they were right there. It kind of made sense because you could see it drop off in front of us. But again, just not thinking and trying to be a little bit cautious with Rylan. So it was all good. Made our way back out. It was pretty uneventful. The other two falls we were looking at were both essentially right off the road in Grafton Notch. And Grafton Notch, it's funny, like I've never been through it and didn't know what to expect compared to like say Pinkham Notch or Franconia Notch, but not much in Grafton Notch. A couple pull-offs and some picnic tables, a sign that says trails for where the AT comes down from Old Spec and like crosses over there. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. Just not a lot there. Like I probably wouldn't have noticed where these waterfalls were. Like they had signs for them, but you kind of had to be on the lookout for them. So the first one is called Mother Walker Falls. This was kind of depressing because it ended up being a bust. It sounds like it's more just a cascade that goes through this sort of canyon, and it seemed like it was very overgrown. It's totally possible that I'm just stupid and missed where you're supposed to turn off for it or like the path for it. I could see some people poking around. It didn't seem like anybody like happened upon some massive waterfall somewhere. So I think it was just sort of cascades rolling through a canyon. Probably just a cool gorge to check out if I had a little bit more time. But I was kind of trying to poke around. Rylan was sort of getting ready to fall asleep in the car, so I didn't want to dilly-dally too long. Yeah. Reported back to Ash that there was nothing to see, so we were originally planning on sort of swapping out, and like I was going to run out, and then she could run out. But yeah, just nothing going on at Mother Walker Falls. If you do know where that secret waterfall is, or if there's something else to look at, drop me a line and let me know, because I'd love to check it out.
About the secret waterfall.
Yeah, let us know. One kind of cool thing there that I did find in the the myriad of historical signs that were in this area, was that there was remnants of an old carriage road that apparently they tried to build back in like the horse and carriage days. And it just was plainly like people tried to build a horse and carriage through this area of Grafton Notch, and it just never happened because the woods is like too thick and it's way too rocky. So until they could blast a road, like it just wasn't going to happen. Wow. So they ended up using the Androscoggin River for a lot of transportation to get stuff from like New Hampshire to Maine in that area. So that was kind of neat. Moving right along. And further south in Grafton Notch, our last stop was Screw Falls. Now this one was sick. So I had to poke around a little bit for it because again, just not a sign. There was like a railing around the top of where it was, but you kind of just were left to your own devices to figure out where these things are. Right off the parking area, there was a falls that was maybe like, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet tall, and I was like, and I had seen a picture of this waterfall beforehand, so I'm like, that's not the one, but this was a nice little one with a pool in front of it that was cool to check out. Looked like some nice swimming holes and little areas you could really slide in if it was a warmer day. So that was kind of neat, and that was nice. Like right out of the parking area. And then a little bit further down, like 100 yards, a couple hundred yards, I finally saw Screw Falls, which is like a series of falls that are probably like, there's probably like 3 or 4 different falls, and I would guess maybe like I didn't look up the exact stats for this one, but probably like 70 to 80 feet, 90 feet, and it kind of just drops in this canyon below you. So that one was pretty sick. That one was worth stopping, especially if you're just driving through Grafton Notch or the area. Like, highly recommend checking that one out. That one was pretty sick. And I got a bunch of pictures and video of all of these that hopefully I can share out and show the PUDs heads. So that was cool.
Nice.
And yeah.
Maybe these people don't want you poking around in their woods, Nick. Maybe that's why it's not well marked. Maybe they're like, don't be poking around down here, buddy.
And it's not like it was difficult to find Screw Falls or anything. Dunn Falls was like, you could find it, but again, it's not like an tourist advertised thing. It's along the AT, which I always love hiking section of the AT. That was pretty cool, but that one was more of a backwoods one. And definitely you needed to poke around to find it. And then, yeah, Screw Falls, like, to find the main falls, you had to go down a little bit. That was sort of if you're there, if you kind of go down where there's a railing, after you sort of pass through to the right, you go kind of cross a bridge and you go over to the right. There's a railing along sort of the right side of it when you're looking at it, straight on at it. And if you follow that, you can sort of poke around and get on some rocks around the canyon and kind of look over into it. So
nice.
That was pretty cool. It was an adventure. It's always good to check out somewhere new. Again, I was reminded how big Maine was, with all these attractions and driving and stuff. And I didn't mention, but Dunn Falls was maybe like a 30-40 minute ride. And then these two in Grafton Notch, if you're staying in Newry, they were like maybe 15 minutes away. So they were really close and easily accessible, and had picnic tables and stuff too. If you're there with your family, it seemed like it'd be a pretty cool place to hang out. So that kind of wrapped up at least the hiking activities for Memorial Day Monday. And Tuesday we just drove back, hit no traffic. It was fantastic.
Sweet.
Wasn't the 5.5 hour ride home that we had from New Hampshire last year. So that was pretty sick. But yeah, that sort of wrapped up our Memorial Day weekend, and we had a lot of fun out there. We missed you guys. We missed you guys, man.
Yeah, I know. Next year, baby will be bigger. Hopefully, we won't be sick.
I think Jeremiah would have really loved the pool.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of games and stuff to do. So
yeah. Next time. We go next time. We can go on vacation together. We don't have to wait until next Memorial Day,
true.
dude.
That's true, I guess.
I got the whole summer.
That's true.
Whenever you want.
We'll have to plan something.
Go away for the weekend.
Post Portugal before October.
So when are you going to do trail maintenance?
Hopefully next weekend, the 8th.
Nice.
Yeah, hoping as long as the weather's not too bad to do that, and then hit the hiker celebration for the longest day. That's going to be at Reckless.
Oh man!
And I'm actually planning on heading up to do a hike that I don't want to spoil what it is, because we'll end up talking about it next podcast. Yeah. And hopefully it goes well. But me and Troki have a fairly ambitious hike. I'll say it's a normal. It's one of the normal New Hampshire 48, but the loop that we're doing to it, I think, will be a little ambitious. It's going to be a pretty big day. So hopefully the weather's good Saturday. That's when we're planning on bagging it. I'm actually going to head up Friday night so we can get an earlier start, and I don't have to wake up at like 2 a.m. to get there. And hopefully we have a good day. So
damn, dude,
we'll chat about that next time.
I got a wedding shower that weekend. I really wanted to go do trail maintenance with you.
Well, I have to do it again in October, so
I'll see you in
the
October,
fall.
then.
So maybe we'll do that.
I'll see you in October.
Sounds like a good song. I'll see you in October.
Wake me up when September ends.
I'm just gonna keep sending you lyrics to that. Oh gosh.
Cleaning day has come at last. Josh, come help me with trail maintenance. Wake me up.
Oh gosh. Let's get into the descent.
Yeah, let's do it, dude. You know what I'm going to say? The one thing I really, really missed about not going on this vacation is staying up late and watching the Celtics with Tony and Lisa. Because I'm sure they were up watching it, and I'm sure they were losing their minds.
So, not to throw you under the bus, Tony, but he went to bed.
No!
Everybody went to bed. Yeah, when they were down.
Tony!
Yeah.
Tony!
Yeah,
did Lisa stay up and watch it?
He was disgusted. No, nobody stayed up and watched it.
He was disgusted?
He was disgusted when they were down by whatever, like what were they down to, like 15 at one point? Yeah,
and
dude.
then
he
and
was
then
like,
they came back.
Done. Yeah.
They came back and won, and they swept the Pacers, and now they're going to the finals. They're going to the NBA finals. Tony, you are no longer allowed to talk Celtics with me. You are a bum.
Let it be stated.
Let it be stated. Let the record. Let the record show. Tony
everybody
is a quitter.
Was pretty shocked when we woke up and heard that they pulled it off.
What a dummy!
I think there was like a good quote about like the Celtics were like the ultimate like play with your food team kind of deal because like they just were messing around and they just came back and ended up winning. So that was great. Congrats Celtics making it to the final. So that's pretty exciting. It's been too long. Long.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be them and the Mavericks, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to that. But I watched
TBD.
On HBO. They're streaming Dune 2. Have you seen Dune 2, Nick?
I still have not seen Dune 2 yet. I really want to see it.
All right, you watch it and then give me your review.
Okay.
How about you? You got anything?
Not really. I finished the Tom Brady roast, which was hysterical. So that was really good.
So good.
I thought it was interesting that like chatted with I guess it's just a difference too with Tony and Lisa, but both of them thought it was very vulgar, and I was kind of like, that's kind of a roast.
That's like, the whole point of the roast.
That's kind of didn't finish it, so it's I guess they're not for everybody. Before? I don't know. I actually didn't get into it that much. I kind of was like, not everybody has to like the same things, but I was like, that's kind of, they're like, he talked about his kids, and I'm like, Tom Brady signed up to get paid money to do that to himself, so he probably so. I mean, I feel like whatever he went, it makes him worse than the people that were making fun of him. If you're taking that viewpoint on it, I just thought it was pretty funny, and it was good to see. It was good.
He didn't even get roasted that hard.
No, he didn't. If you watch some of the other roasts, they went harder on people that were the roasters, not the roastee.
Right.
Then he got in quite a few roasts. A few.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Justin Bieber one and other ones like that. But anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I didn't have a ton of stuff really to plug. Like I said, check out Adventuristic. Check out Friend of the Warriors clothing company. Really sick designs and stuff. Longest day, the official, I should say the longest day Alzheimer's, the actual day that most people plan on hiking when the celebration is on June 8th. I think that weekend's kind of be the biggest one where people are getting out. They actually reshared one of our posts and were saying that we were like the first hiking team that had gotten out yet. So I take it we were 2 weeks earlier than that event is and stuff. So we were definitely early to the game with our hike for Alzheimer's, but there's still plenty of time to check out, create a team, sign up, do the event. Like it lasts all summer. You don't have to do it June 8th. You can do it well after. Yeah. So get out and do the thing, raise some money for Alzheimer's.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That's it. That's all I just had sort of those plugs.
That's awesome. Yeah, you gotta talk to Lori for me, see what we can do.
All right.
You gotta pull some strings.
I'll see what I can do.
All right, man. Want to do a hypothetical?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Nick, you are offered a brain pill. If you swallow this pill, you will become 10% more intelligent than you currently are. You'll be more adept at reading comprehension, logic, and critical thinking. However, to all other people you know, and to all future people that you meet, you will seem 20% less intelligent. In other words, you will immediately become smarter, but the rest of the world will perceive you as dumber, and there is no way that you can alter the universality of that perception. Do you take the pill?
So first off, I want to mention, wasn't there one we did already where you double like your aptitude or something like that?
Yeah,
But
like
you'd be, but there was some catch to that. I forget. Or it was, you could be like basically physically however you wanted, right? And you would never get sick.
Right.
Okay. So it's kind of I like it because it's a nice callback to that one. So that's pretty neat. Second of all, I take it when they say the universality of it, that means that even if like there's no way, like even if you have these writing these like scriptures of intellect and stuff like that, like there's just no way like you could prove to people that you were an idiot. Like it's just you're the only person that it matters to.
Yeah. So you're 10% smarter, but everybody perceives you as 20% less intelligent. So no matter what you say or do, it's always going to perceived as, so wherever your baseline is, it's, let's say, another 10% off of that.
So basically, everybody just thinks I'm slightly dumber.
Yeah,
and it was whether would you do it or not was
right.
No, I wouldn't do it. I just think it seemed because it just seems like there's no benefit to that, because it seems like you're just slightly smarter, like you're 10% smarter, which obviously is probably a good bit more intelligent. However, it seems like there's no way, like it wouldn't matter, because like even if you were like, oh, I'm smart enough to like design this like groundbreaking thing now, or you have this breakthrough with some product or like idea, then you go to present it to people and they'd be like,
this thing's
I'm thinking
dumb.
the thing.
This guy's an idiot.
They'd be like, this guy's a moron. Like, what's he doing?
The heck?
Like, so it just seems really pointless to do that.
Yeah, it's like counterintuitive, because nobody's ever going to be like, yeah, that's going to work. Everybody's going to be like, that's not going to work. You got this big dummy working on it.
I guess unless you were just going to be solo for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it was just beneficial, like if you were in like some sort of survival situation where you just knew, like, if you were like teleported to like another dimension in like Narnia and you just were left to fend for yourself, like in the woods, and you knew nobody was ever going to find you.
Yeah.
Then maybe it'd be beneficial.
I'd like to know what like 10% more intelligence feels like. Like how significant? How significant is that? Like,
I don't know if there's like a quantitative way to think about it. I mean, they measure IQ, right? But I also feel like that's subjective, because a lot of people are just kind of awful at taking tests and like probably would get worked up before they take it.
Right.
I don't know, man. Yeah, or maybe IQ tests account for that. I have no idea.
Right.
But it seems like a very subjective thing. There's so many different areas of intelligence. There's
like,
visual, I mean, audio-wise. There's just a lot of different types of intelligence.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty dumb, so 10% might not even be that significant. Maybe I could read. I'd be able to read after, maybe. I don't know. I can do complex math equations. Like, what is that going to do? Like, is 10% more intelligence, is it even going to allow me to, like, make some groundbreaking technology or anything like that? You know what I mean?
If we had to take a stab at it, I would say that it's not worth it, because it's probably not going to improve your life. And the fact that everybody's going to think you're a moron anyways, regardless of you inventing stuff. Like, I don't even know how that works.
No.
We're getting too far into these hypotheticals.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, that's what they're for. I think that's
what
they're for. But I agree with you. I don't think I would take the pill. I don't think 10% is going to make any significant difference. Like, it's not going to make me, like, better at my job, make more money or anything like that. Like, I don't know. It's not going to be helpful in any way, and then everybody's going to think I'm an idiot anyway, so nobody's going to listen to me.
Yeah, man. Interesting one. Interesting.
Oh man.
As always.
Yeah.
How many of those did you get through in that game that you played over the weekend with Mel and her parents and
I don't know, like 10 or 12?
Ashley? Yeah, so that probably took you like an hour probably.
There's some really good
Maybe
ones.
more than that.
No, we only did it for
actually,
like,
I guess I was gonna say what are your favorites, but I was gonna say we should save them.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you what my favorites were. I put them back where they were, so that way we'll get to them eventually.
Good.
Yeah, man. Cool. Nice. Good stuff. Well, just remember, guys, longest days coming up. Continue to give to the Alzheimer's Association if you can.
I'll still throw that in our show notes, as I have been. The Hiking Peeps. Donate to us. Hike your own hike. Get out there. Do it. Do the thing. Help them out.
Does Lori have a website yet?
She does. I believe it's just adventuristic.com. I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well.
Sweet. That sounds good, man.
Yeah, maybe we can have her on at some point when they have a whole Everest based camp trek that they did last year. So we want to have them on for that, but when we do, maybe we can chat with her either in that episode or another one sort of about what she's been going through with setting up a clothing company, because I have no idea what goes into any of that.
Yeah, we gotta. I actually have some beans to swap with you, so I got to get those over to you, and then we got to do something because that's going to lead to something down the road also, I think. So we got some things in motion, people.
Me about that. We got some things rolling.
The train is moving. The PUDs train is moving.
The Nick Goes West trilogy is officially over at this point. We're just back into smooth sailing. Yeah. I'm sure we'll do some more other episodes like that. I kind of enjoyed doing that. A lot of notes, but
nice.
I hope they were good people. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't forget, review, subscribe, share us with a friend. Find us on social media at PUDs Podcast. And until next time, bippity boppity, give me the zoppity.
Bye. PUDs Podcast was produced and recorded in Black Hat Studios by the Pud Boys. Find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving us a review and subscribing. Find us on social media, and we'll see you next time.